Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Sarah and this is my little knitting corner of the internet where I talk about knitting, everything yarn related and so on. If you have been here before, welcome back. How's it going? I'm happy to have you here again today. And today we want to chat a little bit about summer knits and what's going on for spring. So I brought my very unreasonable long list for knitting and spring patterns, and we can go through all of those patterns and see what's going to make it on my needles as the next custom project. So grab your knitting, something to snack, something to drink, whatever you like to get cozy, and let's get started. So first of all, it's only March, which means that in the area where I live, it's still winter. Actually, I have to put my winter coat on when I go out. I had to scratch my car this morning and we had like snowy rain, hail, pouring rain, slippy roads, so it's not spring or summer yet. But as a knitter, we need to be ahead of the seasons to have a finished wardrobe when it gets warmer. So I think it's a good idea to start now and be finished when we can actually use it. So there is a long list. Every time of the year I end up with a list that's very unreasonable and completely overloaded with everything. It just goes on the list and I never cross anything out. So for this reason I just categorized the patterns that I wrote down in some sections, so we have a bit of an overview, so to say, and they are not ranked in a specific order or how much I like them, just to have some sections we can work through so it's not getting like all over the place and completely random, because it's so long it could be a bit random actually. Okay, so the first category is PetiteKnit. Then we have something around laces, rib tops, cardigan style tops, and just plain summer top knits for every day that are basically just stockinette in the round with some kind of interesting or simple neck shaping. And I have not ranked them in any specific order or in how much I like them. I have just written them down and categorized them so it doesn't get completely random, because it's a lot, and somewhere in the screen should be here we have a little counter of how many patterns it actually is, because it's a lot. And here's your little disclaimer: to be financially responsible, please buy your patterns only when you start knitting them, because if you just buy 20 random patterns that you never end up making, I don't want to be responsible for it. I know I'm not very good at this, but please be aware of your financial issues when it comes to knitting patterns, because you have a yarn stash, you have a pattern stash, and you have a stash of patterns that you will maybe not make ever. So yeah, I know that collecting things around your hobby is some kind of Olympic discipline. I know that is not something I'm very good at. So, alright, another thing I want to mention is that all those patterns are knit on teeny tiny needles, like around 3mm, and on fingering weight yarn. So if you think this is not your type of knitting or you don't have the patience for it, give it a shot. You will definitely grow into it because it's really fun, and once you just get in the groove of knitting summer patterns that are very rewarding because they are very quick and very wearable, like all around the year, even as layering pieces, you will definitely learn to love them. So don't be intimidated by fingering weight yarn and small needles. It's totally worth it. So that's number 2. And number 3, what did I want to say? I don't know. Oh, and number 3 is that my gauge is always very loose. Even on those 3mm projects, I tend to go down a size, which is the extra small size. And yeah, so sometimes I just don't get the gauge right, and I really don't want to make a pattern on 2mm needles. If the pattern requires 3.5mm needles, I go down to 3mm needles, and if I have to go down even more, I tend to choose the size below. And if this is not possible, then I just check what the stitch count gap between the different sizes is, let's say 12 stitches for each size, and then I would subtract those 12 stitches from the smallest size and calculate it downwards. Does that make sense? I hope so. So if this is your problem as well, you can always do a little bit of calculating here and there and then get a result that really fits you, because it's a bit of a hassle to knit a top on teeny tiny needles and then it doesn't fit too well. I mean, that happened to me all the time until I learned that measuring your gauge is more important than you think it is. So with knowing all this, we can start into section number 1, which is patterns by PetiteKnit I really like. Pattern number 1 and 2 in the PetiteKnit section is the Cumulus top and tee, which I think they are both very closely related to each other. They are the same look basically to both of them. The tee version has a raglan construction and sleeves, while the top version is just a simple v-neck that's shaped by triangles in the front and the back, and the body is just stockinette, which makes it very beginner friendly and very easy to style. So if you want something that's very mindless for watching TV, hanging out at the beach, at the lakeside, wherever you are, then that's maybe something you would want to make and wear. So it's easy, it's simple, and you can't really go wrong with the construction. I think, the raglan tee is a bit more of a hassle because you have to knit it flat at the beginning and shaping the v-neck. But once you get through that, it's just stocking it in the round, and once you're done, you have a very simple stable for your wardrobe. The next one on the list is the Friday tee by PetiteKnit, which comes as a short sleeve version, but I was initially inspired to make one by Molly from a homespun house. She showed it in one of her podcasts as a long sleeve version in a hand-dyed yarn, and that was super genius. I think that looks so nice, and even as a short sleeve version, I would just make it in a nice, colorful, sparkling, pretty yarn. So I have a top that is not striped because I'm not getting into the groove of the stripe hype lately. I know there are scarves, shawls, shirts, pullovers, everything in stripes, but I'm not really a stripy person. Maybe it could look good in a pink with red stripes. I think that was the trend last year. I'm not really following along any knitting trends, so sorry. It requires fingering weight yarn and is knit on 3mm needles, which always takes some time, and it's a bit more time consuming even if you make it with short sleeves, I know, but the broken rib stitch the pattern has is really entertaining, and what I like the most is that the raglan shapes to shape the shoulders are also a design detail, which looks very interesting. I haven't seen that so much on designs at all, including that broken rib stitch. I think it's very interesting and entertaining to knit. So you go one more round and one more round, and then you have a rest round, and then you're already done, and so on. I think we know that from sock knitting. It's one more round, and a rest round, and one more repeat, and then you're done just in a nick of time. So really nice. I think it's a very entertaining pattern, and I will definitely give it a shot with short sleeves, maybe even shorter than requested or suggested in the pattern, because for my size I'm rather short. The sleeves up until the elbows look a bit strange. I would make a version where it's just above the shoulders, and I think that's good enough for me and my size. And that's the good thing about knitting. You can always adjust it to what you like and then have the perfect item for you. So speaking of that perfect items, I made the anchors tee as well. Speaking of the perfect fit or customizing your items, I also made the anchors tee by PetiteKnit. It's a circular yoke rib in round style constellation whatsoever t-shirt that is available as a shirt for men and women and t-shirt styles. So if you have one of those patterns, you can probably find out how to make a short sleeves version as well. This is a pattern that is available as a separate pattern, but you can, if you have one copy of the pattern and you know how to, that's my timer. Alright, if you have the copy of the sweater pattern, you can totally also make a t-shirt version, so you don't have to, if you don't want to, buy a separate. There are patterns that are literally just having minor differences, like the gauge is different, or the yarn choice is different, or the sleeve length is different. but everybody is different anyway. So if you have the pattern that explains you how to do the circular yoke, then you can also use that one to make a circular yoke with short sleeves. So the Anchors tee, definitely a recommendation in a lightweight yarn. If you already have the sweater pattern, then you can also use this one to make a t-shirt version. Next one is the Poppy tee, also by PetiteKnit, which has a bit more complex or complicated construction around the yoke and the shoulders. It looks a bit more tailored and a bit more store-bought, I would say, and it's definitely something if you want to learn some new details, if you want to have something that looks very polished and just like something you get from a store, basically. So if you want to learn some more detailed construction variations other than just raglan or something that's like a circular round, then the Poppy tee. So I really want to learn all that, and I want to figure out how I can do it, and I'm going to try to do this one. And sometimes, I know that's weird, but sometimes I just read the patterns just so I get an idea on how to do all that construction details and how different types of construction work and where you have to do the increases and all that. Alright, moving on to the lace section. From now on I will not say the designer's name anymore, but you will definitely have it written down on the screen, as well as the counter of how many patterns that we are already in. And probably I would pronounce it not correct, or I just forgot to write it down. So I'm going to just make a little note so you can have a look if you want. Alright, first on that list is the Shelby top, and it's very special because the pattern was a gift for my birthday from my friend Melissa. Thank you so much for it. And my mom gifted me the matching yarn so I can cast it on right after filming this, and I'm very excited for it. It contains so many special techniques I want to learn. In the beginning it's very simple with a v-neck shaping and those triangular front and back pieces, but then it continues with a very complex and interesting lace section, and I'm very excited to learn all of these because it looks like something that you really need to pay attention to and be focused. And as it's a project where many lovely people are involved, I'm very happy to cast it on and have some very nice and lovely memories also knitted into it. So I'm very excited for that, the gift and the process, so that's very special. And while looking at this pattern, I found another pattern by the same designer, which is called a Strawberry Fields top, and it looks so summery, and I see myself wearing it exactly the same as the designer does in the pattern. At first I thought it was a rib stitch, but it definitely is a lace where you kind of pull up a stitch, and then you have those little, just longer loops, I would say. So definitely on the list. Next one on the list is a free pattern by Drops, and I really love seeing all those different variations on the internet. It's the Heart on Fire top, and so nice with those little eyelets on the right and the left side and the lace in the middle. Very beautiful, and I love seeing different color variations of one design in one picture, like a yellow, orange and red, or red and white and gray on one picture. There's a lot of those pictures on Pinterest, and it looks just motivating to have something like that in your wardrobe. And for a free pattern, what can go wrong? So have a look at it. Definitely something I wanted to knit for years and didn't get around to it because there were other sparkling, distracting things on Ravelry. But maybe this year, this is something I really want to make, especially because I love seeing all those different color variations next to each other. It's just the prettiness. It's just the pretty look of those. Next one is kind of the same vibe but different. It's the Sunny top, and this is an exception to all the others because it's a DK weight yarn knit on 5mm needles, which I never did. I hardly ever knit summer tops on DK weight yarn and never with 5mm needles, but this top comes in a sample of bright yellow, which was my go-to color last year. You've seen it in the last episode. Yellow is just something I gravitate towards for. There was this ice cream light banana yellow trend that was going on, but I really like the bright yellow. And so this one was screaming in my face, and I just bought the pattern, printed it out, and never knit it. So I already know what to expect from this pattern. It comes completely charted for every size, and it has like a row counter, so you can cross out where you are in the pattern to keep track, which I think is very, very nice to have, because whenever I knit like a chart, I get very distracted on which row I am, and even if I make notes, it's very hard for me to focus in all those teeny tiny lines, and I just get distracted a lot. And this pattern comes with a chart for every size, and then basically you have the whole top charted out from bottom up, and then you can cross out the rows that you have already knit up, and that's something I liked a lot. And probably I'm going to cast this on in a special yarn that I still have left from my friend Ellie from last year in a bright pink, to make just something that's summery and airy, and on 5mm needles. That's definitely something I'm doing for the first time. Moving on to the next, which is the Olive top by Knitting for Olive. And a few years ago there was this huge hype around the Olive cardigan, and they also came up with a top version of this pattern. Now I still remember casting it on for the first time when I was a beginner knitter, and I had no idea of reading or how to read a lace chart, and that you read from right to left and left to right when you knit flat. So I was so proud of myself when I figured it out. It was like a mind-blowing moment. So I understand the universe now. And it had a bittersweet ending, because I ended up dropping 2 stitches, and I was new to knitting, and I had no idea how to secure those dropped stitches in that lace pattern, which was not a big deal, I would say now, but years back then it was. And I remember soaking it in water and putting it into the freezer, so I have literally frozen stitches to pick up. It was insane. My family thought that I lost my mind, like putting the yarn in the freezer just to do a little stitch surgery on that top. It was a complete mess, and I remember throwing it away, waving the trash truck, and never wanted to see it again. But it's still on the list, and I think I will give it another try when I have the brain space for it, because it's beautiful. And once you get to know how to knit the lace repeat, it's super easy. It's really not that complicated. It's knit 2 together, maybe purling, and basically increasing to the left and right. It's not witchcraft, but it felt like witchcraft when I knitted it for the first time. So the Knitting for Olive top. It's very pretty, but it stole a bit of my soul. Very dramatic, but that's what it was. A few more in the lace section. Next one is the Rose Rubble top by Mipi the Label, or Famke as her name is. And that pattern came to my mind when she had her patterns on sale for quite a while, and I thought, hey, it's always a good idea to support new pattern designers. And from there on I just was in love with her patterns. I did not get around to make it yet, but I really appreciate that this pattern comes in two different variations. One has those ruffles at the hips, and the other one is just a little bit more straightforward. So you can always choose if you want something that's a bit more playful, or a bit more styled down, I would say, or a bit more clean in the design. Her designs are all very romanticized and playful and cute, and have a little bit of a whimsical touch to it, and that's what I really like. It's my vibe. So definitely going for the rose ruffle top for a little bit of romantic knitting. And speaking of romantic knitting, the next one on the list, or the last one, is the Love Letter top by Kutuva Kika, which is on my list for 2 years now. Is it 2 years already? No, for 1 year. Just when it came out, I thought, hey, I want to knit this as well. I have no idea when I will actually wear it, but knitting it and figuring out all those lace stitches and seeing it coming together, it's just like writing a love letter. I think it's the perfect name for this pattern, and I'm really excited to make it at one point. It doesn't have to be this year, maybe next year, or whenever I want to have something that's embracing romanticism in knitting, I would say. I think, romanticizing knitting. I mean, maybe that's a bit too dramatic, but it's just the vibe of it, like having a love letter written to yourself while focusing on some lace knitting and some quiet and relaxed time, and ending up with a piece that's just pretty to look at, no matter of how much you wear it or how much wear you actually get out of it. So this is the perfect closure for the lace section. Now we move on to the ribbed top section, which has a lot of effortless and very well tested patterns in it. For the first ones, better to say, is the Ribble bralette as well as the DK version and the camisole version. They are very close to each other, just have a different stitch count and maybe needle size. Jessie May Designs give you so many options how to customize your top, so they are all fade into each other for a bit. I had a closer look to all of those patterns, and let me tell you, they are all very similar. And if you want to calculate your own patterns for a bit, then you might be good with one pattern and calculate the length and the width maybe yourself. Just the construction part for the cup shaping in the front and the back might be a little bit more tricky, where you want to have it pre-calculated for your size, or just so you know what kind of constructions details you have to use. But other than that, they are all very similar to each other, but definitely a highly recommended pattern, and there is a reason that there are so many projects on Ravelry with those patterns. So it's popular for a reason, and if you just make it longer, then you have a camisole version. If you make it shorter with a special yarn, maybe something that has a little bit more elastic fiber content into it, then you have a bralette. So just choose what you want and you will find something that will fit you. And then there's also the Ribble crop top. If you want something that has sleeves to it, you can also make a long sleeve version with that. That's absolutely possible. I tried it, and I would definitely recommend making it in fingering weight yarn. There is a worsted weight version to this top. It's too warm in summer. I tested it, and for me, or the area where I live in Germany, in the middle of Germany, even in the cooler summers, I would not wear a worsted weight, like a short sleeve top. So the crop tops are always good if you want something that's easy and mindless, and if you want something with sleeves, then you can go for the Ribble crop top. There is a worsted weight version that I already tested, and let me just say I would always use a fingering weight yarn held single, not double, because yeah, it's a summer top and it has short sleeves and it just feels a bit wrong, and it's too warm in the summers, even in the middle of Germany where the summers are a bit more chilly. The designer offers different versions, then always go for the lightweight version, even if the stitch count is intimidating sometimes, like about 200 stitches to cast on. But it's worth it, I promise. Next one is the square neck camisole, which I think is very bra friendly. It doesn't have that super teeny tiny strap, so you can hide your bra strap under it, and maybe when you want to go out into the city you would want to wear a bra, and mostly those summer tops have very thin straps and it's always a bit visible. If you don't want this, then you might want to have a pattern that offers you the option for a bit more, or a bit wider straps so you can cover it underneath. And I think it's very nice if you have something that has a neck shape that's not as revealing as some of the others are. So I have not really tested it. I haven't had a closer look to the pattern, but square neck camisole looks nice and wearable in the pictures, so I definitely want to give this a try. Same goes for the Sweetheart top, which is next on the list. It's called Sweetheart top, yes. It has that very cute neckline, which was speaking to me by the second I saw it. Everything heart-shaped just speaks to me. And probably maybe I think it will look cute in a bright pink, like as a Valentine's version. The square neck camisole and the Sweetheart rib top are both in the section of have a closer look at it, and they have a very wearable neckline, and the straps are very bra strap friendly. Let's see how it turns out while wearing, but on the first look it looks very promising. Alright, we are almost halfway through. Next ones are the camisole number 2, 4 and 6 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and they are all very close to each other. All of them are rib tops. Of course they are in the rib top category, but So the camisole number 4 is in a broken rib stitch, which I think looks almost like a crochet top or crochet summer top. And as far as I know, there is a very similar design by Drops. It's the strawberry top. I will write it somewhere on the screen. That is very similar to it. And yeah, so if you want to try a free version that has a bit of a wider strap, then you could go for the free version by Drops, which is kind of a twin to this design. And yeah, the 2 and the 4 are very similar to each other. One has a rib stitch and the other one is just simple knitting in the round in rib stitch. And the camisole number 6 has this wider ribs. So it has a bit of a different look, but it falls definitely in the same design category. And of course, mentioning them all together because they are all by one brand or one designer brand. Camisole number 2, 4, and 6 definitely on the list, and they will stay on the list. And I think I will go for the crochet look with the broken rib stitch. Reminds me again of the Friday tee. I should really make something in that stitch pattern. I've not had a very close look to the size range, but I've heard that My Favorite Things Knitwear has not the most size-inclusive size range of all pattern designers, which is a shame because they are very popular and I think they should be a role model and yeah, offer their patterns to as many knitters as possible. It's a bit of a shame, but maybe they will improve in the future and add a few more larger sizes to their summer knits, because I think that especially those rib patterns fit every body type, so everyone should be able to knit and make whatever they want. And as a bigger pattern designer brand, they should, yeah, consider offering their pattern to as many people as possible. So maybe in the future they can a bit improve on that. So alright, that's it with the ribbed patterns. Now we're moving on to the cardigan style patterns. Lately there's a trend about those buttoned up t-shirts that I would literally never wear open or wear as a cardigan with short sleeves. But the button details in the front, I think it's very nice and it has a very interesting look to it, and the buttons really do something to the design. Alright, I'm done with my coffee. Let's move on. Okay, the next one is the Tulip Garden Cardigan. I can't even pronounce that anymore. The Tulip Garden Cardigan, which is so nice because I really love the lace stitch or the lace pattern throughout the whole cardigan, and it's sheer, so something that you would definitely wear over a dress or combined with a nice skirt or something. And the lace detail looks like something with a little bubble, like you do that yarn over to create that hole and then there's a little bubble, or maybe it's just a pearl stitch, I don't know, but it looks very interesting. And yeah, with some delicate buttons in the front, I think it's very chic and something for a special occasion. Okay, moving on from the Tulip Garden Cardigan to the dot cheating blouse, which is also buttoned in the front, cardigan style, but it's knit bottom up, and the pattern designer claims it as an intermediate pattern because it has a variety of different, maybe a bit more difficult techniques that could be a bit overwhelming for a beginner, but if you are ambitious enough, then you will definitely be fine with it. And never be afraid of casting anything on because you don't know what the special technique is. Just search it on YouTube and you will definitely find a result. There was not a single time where I searched for something in the internet and did not find a result. So if you want to make it because you love the design, then just go for it. Don't be scared of it. And if you just can't do it for the first time, then give it a second shot. You can find a tutorial for almost everything and anything on YouTube. So there will definitely be a tutorial on every technique. So explain the way that you will definitely understand it. So if you want to give it a shot, just try it. No matter how hard it seems at the first place, you will be able to do it. Just be confident enough and then you will learn and grow, and that's always a good thing. And if you don't like your result in knitting, that's the good thing. You just rip it back and start all over again. It's not a fail. It's the process of learning, and every knitter has done this 100 and million times, and it was never a waste of time. It was always some kind of joyful experience in the end. So remind that whenever you find a technique that overwhelms you, just look it up and try and try and try until you figure out how it works, and then you will be proud in the end, and your knitting piece will have a little story to tell, and that's always a good idea, isn't it? Next one on the list is the Superb cardigan, which has also scalloped edges, but in a different way. I think it looks very romantic as well, totally my vibe, and I can totally imagine it with some kind of like heart-shaped buttons, scalloped edged by those nice detail in the front. I think that would be really, really cute for, I don't know, summer kind of festival. And definitely a very feminine cardigan that has a very romanticized touch to it, and yeah, it goes in the same category as the love letter top, something that is just romanticism on your needles and has a bit of whimsical to it. Definitely going to give this a shot during the summer. Let's do it. Last one to the cardigan style tops is the Umbria summer top, which is knit in a broken rib stitch. And I think it looks very cool and very chic, and it's the only one in the list that I would also wear as an open cardigan with short sleeves. So the yarn itself, I think it's probably silk. I could also imagine some kind of viscose or something. Looks very drapey, and so just to throw it over while wearing a skirt or a dress looks so chic. And I think the knitting process in the rows instead of in the round is very enjoyable for the rib stitch, because you don't have those purl rows all the time. You always have a bit of a variety, and yeah, most knitters don't like purling the wrong side rows. I don't know why, but that's just maybe common sense, or maybe that's just something that we talked into ourselves. So yeah, I always avoid like purling the wrong side rows, and now with this one, it's probably a knit to purl to, so that makes the knitting process on the wrong side rows a little bit more enjoyable. The arms are probably knitted in the round, and yeah. So I think it would be really cool to make and very effortless to wear. So the Umbria summer top, definitely something that I could imagine wearing open instead of all the others that I would only wear closed as a top with nice button details. So, alright, that's it for the cardigan style tops. Now we're moving on to the everyday so the first one is the Mirokami, which you can wear on both sides. The front side has a v-neck shaping, the back side is a bit more closed, but you can reverse it, so you can have both sides, front or back, and I think, hey, something that you can wear however you want it and it still looks good is always a win, and it looks very effortless. And also this ensemble picture is very tempting, because I love it when the same pattern is shown in different colors and you have like a little collection of it. It looks so cute and just makes me want to make a variety of it in different colors. Especially when I like a pattern, I tend to make it 3 or 4 times. You always know what you get, so that's always good. Mirokami, definitely something I want to have in my wardrobe. Next one has kind of the same vibe. So the Tip Top tank comes in 2 yarn weights. So once you have the option for a fingering weight version, and then you have the option for a DK or worsted weight yarn version. And I think as far as I've seen it now, the smaller sizes only need 100 grams of yarn, so you will not have any leftovers if you have that special kind of yarn you really want to use up. So I just saw that there is an extension to the pattern that gives you the option to have a little bow instead of only the strap, which is a good idea because all those straps tend to stretch out over time, and so you can just redo the bow and then you have that perfect fit from the beginning again. Very nice, and considering this is all free, what can go wrong? Very genius of the designer, and yeah, always a nice addition to the community of knitters. Alright, definitely need to press record when I want to record something. Alright, 2 more free patterns to go. The next one is the Gentleness Tee, which looks like a cousin to the Cumulus top. It also has those v-neck shaping and that body stockinette knitted around, and yeah, very easy to knit, very easy to style. It also has that whitish sample picture that reminds me of the Cumulus top, so I think they are kind of the same but different. And if you want to have a look at a free version of a pattern, then you should definitely go and have a look at this one. And if you want something that is also free but a little bit more bra friendly, then you can look at the Bliss tank. So check this one out because it's also white and in stockinette and effortless, but it has wider straps, so you have definitely a bit more coverage also in the front and in the back, because you know sometimes you don't want to show like everything in the front. So Candleless Tea and the Bliss tank are both free patterns that make very nice stable wardrobe pieces, and they are both very easy to knit as you just knit stockinette in the round most times. So it's beginner friendly, it's a free pattern, you can use it all year round as layering pieces, and they are like knit up in a nick of time. So probably this is something you should definitely check out. So friends, that's it for today. That's the list. I think it was a lot, and probably by now we have the little counter of how many patterns I mentioned here. Probably it's enough for 5 summers, and I will probably not knit all of those, but I never cross anything out. I rather add to the list as a precious collection of ideas instead of just crossing things out, because if I like something, then I like it probably for longer than one season. I'm not a person who throws out their closet every here and there. I keep things for years. Alright, that's it for today's episode. Thank you for hanging out with me. And if you liked this so far, please like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you are knitting on. If you are still in your final steps and stitches of your winter knitting, or if you're just like me and you are fully into summer and spring knits, let me know what's on your needles. What else can I say? So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope it was fun for you. At least it was a lot of fun for me to talk about all the things I love the most, which is summer knitting patterns. That's totally something I'm into. And if you are still in your final steps and stitches of winter knitting, then let me know in the comments below what you are knitting on, what you want to knit for the upcoming season. And if you like this so far, I'm very happy to build a little community in here, so we can all have a little inspiration in the comments below. Just tell me whatever you're doing, what you're working on, and I'm happy to see you next week again for another video. Until then, happy knitting. Bye.